Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and race fans. This is Rob from the Area 51 Racing Podcast coming to you tonight, Friday night, June 13th. A little late in the week for me to be doing my race recap, but this week has been crazy again, unfortunately. So I'm going to be doing the race recap for this past week's race at Nashville Super Speedway for the Truck Series and the Cup Series. The Xfinity Series was off this last week. And then I'll also be giving you my Rob's Racing hot takes. We'll start out with a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Practice and qualifying were on Friday afternoon. The pole winner was Luke Fenhaus, part-time driver of the number 66 ThorSport Ford. It was Luke's first career NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pole. I was pumped about this because Luke is a Wisconsin driver. He's a very good young kid, very good driver. I don't know. He sort of got his fame. He won the Slinger Nationals the first year of the WRX series. And by winning the Slinger Nationals, he got a ride for the race in the WRX series race at Slinger Speedway and ended up losing the race barely to, now I can't remember his name. He's an open wheel driver and also does some, I think, Trans Am stuff. But ultimately, he almost won the WRX race. So very talented driver, very nice kid. I was happy to see that. The race was decent. It was on Saturday. Trucks were able to pass. Tire strategy and fuel strategy was important. It was sort of like a super speedway race. That's even what some of the Cup drivers even made reference to. You had to balance. You had to do the pit strategy deal. Obviously, take care of your tires, but fuel strategy was important. There are trucks on different pit strategies, fuel strategies, tire strategies to gain track position, but ultimately, at the end of the race, it came back to bite them in the ass if they didn't pit properly and take fuel, because some of the trucks ran out of fuel and had to pit or had to come in and take tires or whatever. A majority of the dominant trucks during the race were Corey Heim, the number 11 Tricon Garage Toyota, Lane Riggs, the number 34 Front Row Motorsports Ford, Ross Chastain, the NASCAR Cup Series regular, driving the number 44 Niece Motorsports Chevy, and then Ty Majeski in the number 98 ThorSport Ford. There were some other drivers as well that were up in the front. Gio Ruggiero, he was up there for a little while. Corey LaJoie, who's driving part-time now in the number 07 Spire Motorsports Chevy. They all were running up towards the front of the pack, majority of the race. And at the very end of the race, it ended up in a wreck fest, basically. The truck race went into 3 overtimes. The first 2 overtimes, Corey LaJoie actually was on the front row. And the third overtime, he decided to take the top behind the number 9 CR7 Motorsports Chevy driven by Grant Enfinger. And ultimately that bit him in the butt and cost him a chance at winning the race. LaJoie didn't get a great restart on the top. Enfinger was able to pull away. And then Stuart Friesen in the number 52 Hallmar Friesen Racing Toyota ended up passing Enfinger ultimately on the restart and held on to win the race and got his first win of the season, locking himself into the playoffs. One thing of note, on lap 115, NASCAR Cup Series driver Ross Chastain made one of the biggest saves I have ever watched in racing. His number 44 Chevy truck made contact with the number 7 truck driven by NASCAR Cup Series regular Carson Hocevar, and also a Spire truck. While they were clearing lap traffic, the contact caused Chastain's truck to slide completely sideways, like he was drifting his truck down the straightaway. And somehow he was able to maintain control of his truck, get it back straight, and get it back under power, and didn't lose that many spots on track. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. Ultimately, though, as a result of that, Hocevar had to pit because he got a cut tire from the contact. And then later, Chastain was involved in a wreck on one of the restarts in the overtime, and that took him out of contention from winning the race. Driver Frankie Muniz, star of Malcolm in the Middle, driver of the number 33 Rome Brothers Racing Ford, had a really good run. He ran in the top 10 for a portion of the race and ultimately finished P14. He's had a really rough season, a lot of bad luck, sometimes of his own doing, sometimes just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, it was good to see him have a positive run and getting a decent finish. So, like I said, Stuart Friesen in the 52 Hallmark Friesen Racing Toyota won the race, got his first win of the season, locked himself into the playoffs. P2 was Grant Enfinger in the number 9 CR7 Motorsports Chevy. And then P3 was Luke Fenhaus in the number 66 ThorSport Ford. Not only did he get his first career pole, he also got his first career Truck Series finish in the top 5, which is awesome. Like I said, Luke is a good kid, really good race car driver, really talented. Hopefully he gets a chance at a full-time ride here in the future. He, like I said, he's a really good kid and really good driver. So the Xfinity Series was off. They returned this Saturday, June 14th. The race will be on at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the CW. The Xfinity and Cup Series is racing at the road course race at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez road course in Mexico City, Mexico. The Cup Series races on Sunday, and like I said, Saturday, the Xfinity Series races. The Xfinity Series is returning. They haven't raced there. Can't remember. I think it was like 2008, maybe. I could be wrong about the year, but they haven't been there in a long time. And this will be the first time the Cup Series has gone to race at this track. It'll be interesting to see how things go logistics wise. I will cover that next week as part of my race report and hot takes. There are some stuff that I already know that have taken place, but I'm going to save that for next week. Like I said, NASCAR Cup Series race was Sunday. Again, I didn't watch the race. Actually, I wasn't even home on Sunday. Plus, I don't have the Amazon Prime subscription. I did watch, kept track of the racing on the NASCAR app that I have, the mobile app. And I watch videos and replays and that type of stuff to keep informed so I can do somewhat of an educated race review for all our listeners and viewers. Carson Hocevar in the number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevy, again, had a dominant car and led some laps at his home track, but unfortunately had to pit on lap 182 for a flat tire, which ended up ultimately taking him out of contention for the win. Carson's been doing really well as of late. He's a very talented driver, overly aggressive at times, but Dale Jr. recently was talking about how talented he is, and if he gets all that talent bundled together and wraps up some of the aggression, he's going to be potentially one of the elite drivers in the Cup Series. So he did win the Money in the Bank Berlin Raceway super late model race. I think it was like this past week, Tuesday, not this week, but the week before, Tuesday before the race in Michigan. I think he won like $15,000. So He's on a little bit of a heater right now. He's doing well for himself. Not getting the result, obviously, that he wanted at Michigan at his home track to get the win, but he is doing well. So on lap 67, Alex Bowman, the driver of number 48 Hendrick Motorsports Chevy, was in a situation where cars were four wide, and he was in the middle, towards the middle top area, and ultimately, car on the bottom pinched up the 41 of Haas, the number 41 Haas factory team Ford, driven by Cole Custer, causing Custer to make contact with the rear of Bowman's car, and it sent Bowman's car like a rocket straight into nose first into the wall at 180 miles an hour. It was a hellacious hit. The back end of the car actually lifted up off the ground easily. I would estimate 2 to 3 feet from hitting the wall, and came back down. Thank God for the safer barrier. And this is going to be one of my hot takes that I'm going to talk about more in depth. But Bowman, fortunately, was able to get out of the car with some assistance and walk gingerly to the ambulance. He is extremely lucky, and that was one of the hardest hits that I've seen in a long time since NASCAR has updated some of the safety features on this current gen car. On social media posts I watched from various drivers, they referred to this race, like I said earlier in the truck race, that they said it was like a drafting track because of the 1.5-mile track, high speeds. You could draft. As a result, they had to manage tires and conserve fuel, plus pitch strategy was the key. Denny Hamlin and the number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota won the race. A lot of people don't like Denny Hamlin. I mean, he's not my favorite driver, but I like him because he's a good driver and he's entertaining. I enjoy what he has to say. He likes to talk crap, but he can back it up. And it was funny in Victory Lane. I saw the review or the replay video of his post-race interview on track after he had won. And he said, "Sorry, Daddy, I beat your favorite driver again." The reporter asked Denny who, and he said, "All of them." Last time Hamlin said this after a win, his father actually told him he didn't like what he had said and told him not to say it again. So Hamlin actually had been on for the last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, had been on baby watch. His fiance, I believe it's fiance or wife, was pregnant and due any day, and they had Ryan Truex on standby as his backup driver in case he needed to leave the track. And ultimately, Hamlin ended up winning the race. P2 was Chris Buescher in the number 17 RFK Ford, and P3 was Ty Gibbs in number 54 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. Huge finish for Ty Gibbs. I mean, he's had a terrible year compared to what he had the last couple of years. Just, I don't know what it is. It's like his team just isn't in sync or something. It just bad luck, whatever it may be. But I don't know if it's good for the rest of the Cup field. But Denny Hamlin is starting to heat up. In the first 15 races this season, he has had 3 wins, 7 top 5s, and 2 DNFs. He currently is P2 in the drivers' playoff standings and is P3 in the drivers' regular season standings. I picked him last year to win a championship. Obviously, he didn't do that, but he was my pick again this year. And I think maybe this is Denny Hamlin's year to get it done. I know a lot of people, like I said, don't like him or aren't a fan of him, but the dude is super talented. I think this was his maybe 54th win or something like that. I don't hold me to that, but I believe that's what he said. It's like 54th win. I mean, that is crazy. That's a lot of wins. So, I mean, to give you an idea, Hall of Fame great, one of my favorite drivers, Mark Martin, as you can see all his diecasts I have over here, he had 40 career Cup wins. And Denny Hamlin is, I mean, that's just crazy. So, on that note, that's my race recap for this past week's race at Nashville. My racing hot takes, like I said, I was going to talk about the Alex Bowman crash. To me, when I saw the replay, it was eerily similar to the wreck in 2001 at Daytona that took the life of Dale Earnhardt Sr. And the irony of this was Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in the booth calling the race with Steve Letarte. And, you know, Dale Jr. didn't mention anything comparison-wise, but Letarte said that Bowman's car weighs 3,500 pounds and was going 180 miles an hour when he hit the wall head on. And like I said earlier, on the replay, you could see the rear of the car lift off the track from the impact easily 2 to 3 feet. It was crazy. And then Bowman was able to get out of the car and go by the ambulance to the infield care center. After he received treatment, he was interviewed and asked about the crash. Bowman said, quote, "I mean, I feel okay. It was the biggest hit I've ever taken in a stock car by a mile, but head on into the wall at Michigan, it's going to be that way." End quote. And I got that quote from an article written by a staff writer that wrote an article on NASCAR.com about the crash. And I also, on NASCAR.com, I saw a video of Bowman's car after the race in his pit stall by his hauler. And the NASCAR officials were looking at the front of the car, and it was unbelievable how far in everything was pushed and crushed. And that's what I want to talk about, is the safety improvement of this current gen car compared to where it was when it first came out and everybody was getting concussions and, you know, like the bad head injuries and that type of stuff. Bowman did hurt his back. He supposedly is going to be racing this weekend in Mexico. He is in Mexico. They do have Anthony Alfredo on standby, which is their sim driver and backup driver in case something happens. But I'm sure Bowman is going to race. But, you know, if it wasn't for the safer barrier, the updated crush panel and design with the front clip so it would absorb the impact, Hans device, the helmet, the full containment seat, I think maybe we're looking at like I said, a Dale Earnhardt Sr. possible in severe injury or death. That was one of the wickedest wrecks I've seen in a long time, especially in this current car. I mean, other than obviously Ryan Preece's rolling over and at Daytona, but it was I'm just a little speechless because I just don't know what to say. I'm at awe at how hard that hit was. I'm not good at math and physics, but 3,500 pounds at 180 miles an hour, the G-force on the body had to be unbelievable. And I have I'm a medically retired law enforcement officer. And from covering accident investigations, I have seen firsthand just the damage to vehicles and the human body. And what G-forces do to a body involved in a collision at speeds nowhere near 185 miles an hour. And it just amazes me that, thank God Alex Bowman is safe. So kudos to NASCAR for the the improvements on working towards getting this current gen car safer for the drivers and being able to absorb that much energy to protect the driver and make sure they were able to survive. So my second hot take, this one I'm pumped about. I'm a huge Dodge Mopar old school muscle car guy. I had a Dodge Charger Daytona 392 to 2018. Unfortunately, I got a little crazy and totaled it. But I was ecstatic when I saw that Dodge was announcing that the Ram truck is coming back to race next season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They said no teams or drivers have been announced yet as to who will be driving the Dodge Ram trucks. And Dodge further announced that maybe in the future they may enter into the Xfinity and Cup Series, which would be cool to see Dodge back on track. Dodge Ram trucks last raced in the Truck Series in 2013. I think that was the same year that Dodge left the Xfinity and Cup Series as well. The unveiling was awesome. They had the actual race truck, a Dodge Ram race truck, on a metal platform where they had the front left tire, I think it was, attached to a pivot bar, a bar that pivoted, and the truck just did a burnout for a while till it was smoking, which was one hell of a way to announce their return to NASCAR. So it was pretty badass. So looking forward to see who may become drivers for Dodge and what teams now may switch over from their current OEM company to Dodge. I have some suspicions, but I don't know if it will happen or not. But we'll see. Bobby, Dave, and I have talked about it a little bit and just throwing stuff around, but it'll be interesting to see. I hope Dodge has the success like they did when they first entered the race NASCAR back in the day. So, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about, this pertains to short track grassroots racing, especially at a historic racetrack called Hickory Motor Speedway in Newton, North Carolina, and then also historic Tri-County Motor Speedway in Granite Falls, North Carolina. A Hickory Motor Speedway champion, Landon Huffman, his dad used to race in NASCAR. I follow Landon. He's a very good young driver. His social media stuff is entertaining at times. He is sponsored by High Rock Vodka, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Amy Earnhardt's vodka company. Landon used to race, obviously, I said he was the Hickory Motor Speedway former track champion. Had some issues there, falling out with the ownership. But recently, on June 2nd, tweeted a tweet about, the track going downhill. And I'll read the tweet, and then there's a tweet that Dale Earnhardt Jr. responded to Landon's tweet about Hickory. And it's basically Dale Jr. trying to do what he does best, working out saving racetracks and trying to resolve things. So here's a tweet from Landon Huffman that he posted on his personal social media post on page on June 2nd. Looking through the weekend results and can't help but notice 4 cars at Hickory again. The past history between track management and I is no secret, but it pains me to see my home track hurt so badly. I love Tri-County and I enjoy racing there, but I love and enjoy Hickory as well. My grandpa raced and won there. Dad is a track champion. I am fortunate to have a track championship. I grew up at this racetrack, and I know others out there share the same sentiment. There has to be a conversation on the future of the late model class, or even the remainder of the 2025 or the remainder of 2025. No way it can continue to function like it is and be sustainable. This was once the birthplace of NASCAR stars. It makes me so sad to see a track that puts on incredible racing and has such a rich history in the sport fall damn near obsolete. My question to all of you, what will it take to get race cars back at the facility? Shorter late model stock schedule would be a major help to start, in my opinion. Purse is not good, but it isn't good at many places. And to be honest, some tracks are paying great and still don't have cars. I do not want to see my home racetrack turn into a housing development. Signed, a concerned short track racer. Again, that was written by Landon Huffman on June 2nd. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. responded on his personal account to this tweet. Quote, in the 1990s, both were successful with Tri-County running Fridays and Hickory on Saturday. That's unlikely the solution for either these days, but alternating weekends and some monetary reward for competing at both. They absolutely have to find a way to work together, or one will cannibalize the other. And not only does it pertain to these two tracks, but this is happening around the United States at between asphalt tracks, dirt tracks, whatever. I know for a while there were tracks that were racing on the same nights and competing against one another here in Wisconsin, and pulling car counts from each track. They were competing against each other. So, for example, Rockford Speedway obviously isn't in Wisconsin, it's in Illinois, or was. It's unfortunately no longer in existence, but they race Saturday nights, and then Jefferson Speedway in Wisconsin race Saturday nights. So you have the late model divisions that raced at both. Rockford was the longest tenured NASCAR track in the nation at the time, and you got Jefferson Speedway, which was not a NASCAR track, but a little farther north in Wisconsin, where it drew race car drivers from all over central Wisconsin and southern Wisconsin, whereas Rockford drew ones from Illinois and also from southern Wisconsin. So you had a little bit of competition, but they made it work. The car counts at Jefferson were better than Rockford at times, but they both were racing on the same nights. I mean, when I was part of the race team, we raced Friday night at Madison Speedway in the late model NASCAR track. Then we raced Saturday night at Rockford, late model NASCAR track. And then Sunday, we raced the same late model at Slinger Speedway. So 3 nights in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we raced the same car. And a lot of long nights. There were times where we had to repair, a damaged car. The backup car, we would take parts off, fix this car. I mean, we had to change engine one time because it blew. A lot of radiators broken, that got crushed and wrecks. And I mean, a lot of stuff. And we always made it work. So, but that's one of the common denominators is across the nation is these competing tracks, car counts, and payouts. Racing obviously is not a sport you're going to make money in. If you're making money in it, you have really good sponsors and you have really good equipment, and you win a lot, and you're winning these big races to make a living. But the adage is if you have $1 million and you're racing, after your first day of racing, you're negative in the negative. So it's a hobby. Sometimes it's a career for some people, but that's the thing. You need to start working together, and especially with Hickory Speedway. Bobby, Dave, and I are going to go to a race while we're down in Charlotte this September at Hickory. It's basically the birthplace where a majority of the great legends in NASCAR have raced. And, being the first time for me being in that area and being a huge historian of NASCAR and everything, I definitely am looking forward to going to that racetrack. Just to see the nostalgia, the facilities, and, watch a race there to say, hey, I've been to a place where Dale Jr., Dale Sr., Richard Petty, you name it, raced there at one time. I just hope and pray that these Tri-County and Hickory can get, work something out. Maybe have a thing where they race opposite weeks, or they do like a inter racetrack series where they race at one track one week, where race at the other track another week, and then at the end of the year they have a special in, between the two tracks in season, like race schedule where they have a separate point system. I know so a few years ago, some of the tracks here in Wisconsin did that. Like Slinger, I think it was Slinger, Wisconsin Dells, and Madison. They did that where they raced at the three tracks. Maybe it was Jefferson, Slinger, and Madison. I can't remember, but either way, it was three tracks they raced together, and whoever had the most points won the Wisconsin championship or whatever they called it. So, yeah, like I said, that's a big thing that's in the sport. And you got the other thing is the rules. You got, back in the day when Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, Rusty Wallace were racing, they raced every freaking day. They could go to any racetrack and the rules were all the same. That's part of the problem now, not only in asphalt racing, but also dirt racing. I mean, I listen to Kenny Wallace a lot, obviously a dirt racer now, but, NASCAR, great. And he talks about with his dirt modified that at one track he can run something, but at the next track they don't allow this certain set of shocks or whatever. So he has to change stuff, or the certain front bar on the truck, front of the modified has to be different shaped or whatever it is. And that is what prevents car counts, is the result of all these different rules. So I know in Wisconsin they've tried to get a uniformed racing promoters committee to make unified rules. I know there are some tracks here still in the state of Wisconsin. I talk about Wisconsin because obviously I live here. So I know it's just because I'm aware of that's how it is here. I'm sure it's similar in the other states as well. But you have these sanctioning bodies with these rule books and rules that if they're all the same, then you can have a late model race like at all these same tracks without having to change certain things for racing. So I don't know. I just like I said, I wanted to bring that up about Hickory and Tri-County. And we may go to Tri-County as well, actually, when we're in Charlotte. So I hope they can get it worked out. Like I said, a lot of good racers there. And the other big thing that is important down there is Dale Jr., Jeff Burton, Justin Marks, and Kevin Harvick starting the Cars Tour down there was huge. And now, they got their one race was televised during the NASCAR All-Star race in North Wilkesboro, which had a really good viewing. So, that Dale Jr. and those guys are, well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. by far is one of the biggest proponents of saving racetracks. Obviously, North Wilkesboro is a prime example. and promoting grassroots short track racing and trying to preserve that history. And, there are others as well, but I hope Dale Jr. can get involved and maybe intervene and try to work this whole thing out for them, those two tracks. So, but on that note, that's my three racing hot takes for this week. Episode 78 was brought to you by Circle B Diecast. Circle B Diecast is an online diecast sales company that sells Lionel and Acme 164 and 124 diecast, along with apparel and other collectibles for all of the racing series. They are headquartered in North Carolina, but they also have another warehouse located in Missouri. If you're looking for a diecast or some racing apparel merchandise, go to www.circlebdiecast.com. And at the checkout, enter the Area 51 Racing Podcast discount code, Area 51, for $6 off your shipping cost. You can also check out Circle B Diecast's eBay pages, Plan B Sales, Circle B Diecast, and Circle B Diecast North Carolina, or NC, to bid on diecasts. Plus, Circle B Diecast have weekly auctions on their site. Check out their social media platforms on Facebook and X. They announce all their auctions every week on their social media platforms. Circle B is a partner of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. They are our primary source of diecasts. And if you look behind me, obviously I have a lot of diecasts. And there's I have a whole Matt DiBenedetto collection. To the right of me, where I have every one of his cars except for his Viking Motorsports vehicles. And a bunch of Ryan Ellis cars, Josh Williams, Tyler Reddick, Corey LaJoie, and then Ty Majeski, Matt Kenseth, Johnny Sauter, Rich Bickle, Sam Mayer, Ben Rhodes. I could go on. Martin Truex Jr.'s championship win diecast, Chase Elliott's championship diecast. Yeah, I have a lot of diecast. Pretty much every one of them has been bought from Circle B Diecast. They are easy to work with, fast shipping, great people. So please check them out and give them a try. You can do pre-orders. You can do it, set it up so you can do a pre-order and do it like pay later. So when it comes in, then they bill you. So you don't have to pay right away. They take PayPal for payment. So transactions are super easy. Like I said, they ship fast. I had one issue with a diecast, and they gave me the label to ship back, and they gave me a refund because the diecast wasn't available. So, and it wasn't their fault. It was a manufacturer defect by Lionel. So they are very good customer service wise and everything. So again, can't say much more good about Circle B Diecast. They're a great, phenomenal company. So on that note, I'd like to wrap this up. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Thank you to our sponsors. Bobby, Dave, and I cannot do this without our great sponsors and supporters, our viewers, listeners. We greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you, Spartan Waste, Fox Sports Spartanburg, Harrison's, Action RV, Kylie Glick Racing, Mattman Designs, The Runner's Roost, Alliance Drive-Away Solutions, Anna Moore Designs, Circle B Diecast, Driven Sunglasses and Driven Trackside, Elite Towing and Recovery, High Speed Auto, The Racing Warehouse and Armadillo Apparel, Belcher Cheesecake Creations, Flying Foreign Concrete Structures, Gale Beard Products, Wings, etc., Dialed In Focus Pouches by Whitetail Smokeless, Benzik Designs, Schanzenbach Landscaping, Enigma Tattoo Studio, Apparel Parts Group, Overwear Apparel Group LLC, and Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. Without all our partners, listeners of yours, like I said, Bobby, Dave, and I are not able to do this podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in tonight. This is the conclusion of episode 78. This is Rob. Remember, get out and support your local racetracks and drivers. You never know, you may be watching the future NASCAR superstar at your local track. Have a good weekend, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers this weekend. Enjoy a relaxing day with family, friends, or whatever it may be that you want to do. Take care, everybody, and have a great evening.